everyone, it's Zahava and I am back on the sofa in the exact same place in the exact same outfit as the last video because neck injury. Today in the video, we are going to be just going through some books. I have 10 books I want to show you that I kept aside for my latest eBay haul. So if you guys are new here and you don't know, I also have an eBay store where I sell some used books, and occasionally I keep some books aside from the big lots that I go and pick up. Books that I might be interested in reading, I put those ones aside, and I just wanted to talk to you guys about the ones that I had kept aside today. A lot of them are going to be older books, probably books that no one has ever heard of, and I think that that's fine also because there's a lot of gems that would have been published in like the 90s, the early 2000s that are no longer being promoted. They're no longer on bookshelves, and that doesn't mean that they are less deserving of your attention or my attention, as the case may be. So I just wanted to go through those books with you, and it's going to be kind of just like an informal. We're going to read the back blurb, and I'll tell you, what I thought of them. Some of them I did read a first chapter of, but most of them not. And it is possible that my battery's going to die, so I'm going to try and do this really quickly for you, and I hope you guys have a good time. So the first one that I have here is a mass market paperback. It's called Dampier, which I'm guessing is a vampire novel. It is supposed to be like an urban fantasy vampire situation here. Magier has earned a reputation as the most formidable vampire slayer in the land. Villagers far and wide welcome her with both awe and disdain, grateful to her for ridding their towns of the undead menace, but finding themselves made poorer for their salvation. Magier has always known she's dealing with simple folk who only wish to have their superstitions silenced, and she's never seen anything wrong with exploiting them for profit. Now, tired of the game, Magier and her partner, the half-elf Liesel, are ready to hang up their weapons and settle down in a place they can finally call home. But their newfound peace will not last, for Magier has come to the attention of a trio of powerful and dangerous vampires who recognize her true identity and who fear the birthright that flows through her veins. And they will stop at nothing to keep Magier from fulfilling her destiny. Now, I haven't read a vampire story in quite some time. I think since Interview with the Vampire, I can't even think. I do have another one. I think I have Empire of the Vampire, and I have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which I haven't read, but I have them on my shelves, and I believe that those two stories have to do with vampires as well. But like vampires, I think I sort of kind of mentally clocked out of the vampire situation in like the early 2000s. And I know that Interview with the Vampire has been around since the 80s, but I think I stopped somewhere around Memnoch the Devil. I don't know. I gave up on that series a long, long time ago. And I sort of have been out of my vampire era. I have no desire to read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I don't know. But this being like a vintage one, it is... this was back when like books were like $5.99 US, $8.99 Canadian. Do you remember those days? Like we don't get books priced like that anymore. This was published in 2003. So this is 2003. So I thought I would give this one a go. I haven't read the first chapter of this one yet, but I intend to. I would probably just like read the first chapter, try a chapter. I don't know if I'm going to do that on camera, but I'm probably going to end up doing like a try a chapter thing. If you guys want me to do that and vlog it for you, let me know in the comments and I'll do a vlog of that for you guys. So there's this one. The next one is also a mass market paperback. This one is called The Daughters of Bast, The Hidden Land. Now these are all firsts in series I meant to mention. I did look them up before I decided if I was going to keep them or not. So this would be a first, either a first in a series or a standalone. I'm not exactly sure, but it's one of the two. And this one is, and so I'll read you the back so you guys could know. I just want to like show you what the cover is. Okay, and I'll read the back for you so you guys can have an idea of what it is. So in a time of magic and slavery, a deadly plague rips across the Celtic lands, and to appease the gods, a rare black cat must be sacrificed. But Velida, a young girl born of a line of druids, frees the cat, a magical creature named Mao, and follows it through a dazzling jeweled forest to the magnificent temple of Bast, the ancient cat-headed goddess of Egypt. The startled Velida has been chosen by the goddess to receive special gifts and powers that will end the killing scourge and heal her people. But these newly bestowed gifts will change Velida's destiny forever, for Julius Caesar leads the legions of Rome unchecked across the continent, and the Celts are his next intended prize. Far worse, these implacable conquerors are protected and assisted by Bast's dark sister, Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of blood and death. Blessed with the wisdom of the oak and the powers of Egypt, only Velida can unite her wild and warlike peoples in order to repel the invading Roman forces. So this one is like supposed to be a fantasy. I think it's like a historical fantasy. I believe there's definitely going to be some magical elements in this, considering that we're going to be talking to gods and stuff. This one was published in, I can't even see like, oh, here it is. Okay. This one was published in 1999, so it's quite an oldie. Let me know if you guys have seen it around or if you know anything about it. I also put aside Sailing to Sarantium. This is book 1 by Guy Gabriel Kai. I believe that this is the author that wrote Tigana. I have tried to read Tigana. It's like this big. I never got into it. I think I ended up unhauling it. I would really like to read from this author because they've been around for like a really, really long time. This is another mass market paperback. This was published in 1998, which is the year I graduated high school. Oh my God. We don't have a grade 12 here. I graduated in like 11th grade here. But yeah, this is a Canadian author. It's one that I haven't read, and I would really like to eventually read something. And I think that I would really like to eventually read something from this author. It's a little over 530 pages. I think Tigana was something like 900 pages, so it was just way too big of a beast for me to tackle. But this is something I think I could probably get behind, at least to have an idea of what the author is like. Sarantium is the golden city, holy to the faithful, exalted by the poets, jewel of the world and heart of an empire. Artisan Caius Crispus receives a mysterious summons from the emperor and sets off on a journey toward the sparkling city. But before Crispin can reach Sarantium, with its taverns and gilded sanctuaries, chariot races, and palaces, he must pass through a land of pagan ritual and mysterious danger. In this first volume of the Sarantine Mosaic, Guy Gabriel Kai weaves an utterly compelling story of the allure and intrigue of a magnificent city and the people drawn into its spell. So it's kind of like making me think a little bit of Elantris. I don't know if it has any similarities or anything, but the last book that I read about a mysterious city was Elantris, so maybe I'm just like, maybe the brain like just wants to make connections. Maybe one has absolutely nothing to do with the other, but if you guys have read this or know anything about it, please let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Then I have this one, which we have seen in every thrift store since the dawn of time. It is The Dragon Prince, book 1 by Melanie Ron. This is like a classic. It's a classic. I feel like I see this book everywhere, at every thrift store, at every used bookstore. I've never picked it up. I've never paid for it. This book, because it's part of my eBay haul, I think they work out all of these books to about 20 cents a unit. So it cost me 20 cents. I don't think I've ever read Melanie Ron before, but this is a book that is pretty much as old as I am. I don't know if that's actually true. I'm going to look up the year it was published. 1988. So it's almost as old as I It's almost as old as I am. I was born in the 80s, you guys. So yeah, I thought I would try this one. I feel like this is probably an original romantasy before romantasy became a very popular subgenre. So I feel like along with Jacqueline Carey and Sarah Douglas, Melanie Ron probably did, and I want to say Elizabeth Hayden as well. Melanie Ron probably did like a lot of, that type of thing. So again, I don't know anything about this book. I've never picked it up before it sort of fell into my lap. I'm not going to read you guys the back of this book because I did read it before and there's a lot of fantasy names that I can't pronounce, and not wishing to make a fool out of myself, I'm just going to have to go and look those up. Anyway, I've seen this book around forever. It's going to be pretty much a classic fantasy situation, and it's just one of these books that I thought I probably should get around to picking up eventually. So I kept this one aside. Then another author who I have never read, who has been around forever, Mercedes Lackey. This one is book 1 of The Last Herald Mage. It's called Magic's Pawn, and that's the cover. I really love these vintage covers so much. So though Vaniel has been born with near legendary abilities to work both herald and mage magic, that kind of sounds like Fitz, who does the wit and the skill, he wants no part of such things. Nor does he seek a warrior's path, wishing instead to become a bard. Yet such talents as his, if left untrained, may prove a menace not only to Vaniel but to others as well. So he's sent to be fostered with his aunt Saville, one of the famed herald mages of Valdemar. But strong-willed and self-centered Vaniel is a challenge which even Saville cannot master alone, for soon he will become the focus of frightening forces, lending his raw magic to a spell that unleashes terrifying were-hunters on the land. And by the time Saville seeks the assistance of a Shinayan adept, Vaniel's wild talent may have already grown beyond anyone's ability to contain, placing Vaniel, Saville, and Valdemar itself in desperate peril. So it sounds like we have a chosen one story potentially in this scenario, but again, I've never read Mercedes Lackey before. It's not too long of a book. It's about 340 pages in mass market paperback format, and the publication year is 1989. Next, I have The Thief's Gamble by Juliet McKenna, an author that I have never heard of before. This is a mass market paperback published by Orbit in 1999, and it has a map here and a really kind of fun cover with the dragon and like the little boat on the water and stuff, and they look like they're really trying to outrun, I don't know if it's a dragon, looks like potentially even a sea serpent. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but We'll read you the back, and it says, in Einarin, the secret of magic is known only by an elite few. They live in deliberate isolation under the watchful eye of the Archmage, but nothing lasts forever. Livik is a part-time thief and a full-time gambler, long accustomed to living by her wits and narrowly avoiding serious trouble. When she attempts to sell a stolen antique to a passing merchant, she finds herself pulled into a new and dangerous world of political intrigue in which the stakes are higher than anyone involved can imagine. For the antique she has acquired dates from a particular period in the history of Einarin, about which little is known, but much has been speculated. And when the truth begins to emerge, Livik decides to take the greatest gamble of her life. And it's written a magical tale with a cast of characters who leap off the page. The Thief's Gamble is a sparkling debut from a brilliant new fantasy storyteller. Now, I have never heard of this author. I don't know if they're popular, maybe more in the UK than they are in North America. You guys can let me know if you're following me from the UK. But this is the first. I don't even know if there's any books that have been published that follows this one or not. So yeah, I'll have to look that up. But I really, really love the cover, and it was a first in a series. And since I like fantasy, I thought that I would keep this one aside as well. Then I have some mystery thrillers to show you. The first one here is by Eric Rickstad, Lie in Wait. And this is, I guess, from the author of Silent Girls. I've never heard of this author. I've never heard of this title. I've never heard of this title. So I did read the first chapter of this one. That's why there is a bookmark. And I liked it enough, the prose, to decide that I wanted to sort of keep on with this one. But I'll read you the back so you have an idea what it's about. In a remote pastoral hamlet of Canaan, Vermont, a high-profile legal case shatters the town's sense of peace and old community. Anger simmers, fear and prejudice awaken. Old friends turn on each other, violence threatens. So when a young teenage girl is savagely murdered while babysitting at the house of the lead attorney in the case, Detective Sonia Test believes the girl's murder and the divisive case must be linked. However, as the young detective digs deeper into her first murder case, she discovers sordid acts hidden for decades and learns that beyond the town's idyllic facade of pristine snow lurks a capacity in some for great darkness and the betrayal of innocence. And Sonia Test, a mother of two, will do anything to protect the innocent. So this is a murder mystery thriller, pretty straightforward. Next, I have The Old City Hall by Robert Rottenberg, and I believe that this is a Canadian author, so again, it is a murder mystery thriller. Did Canada's favorite radio host commit murder? Kevin Brace, Canada's most famous radio personality. I don't think that that's a real radio personality. This is a work of fiction. Stands in the doorway of his luxury condo, hands covered in blood, and announces to his newspaper delivery man, "I killed her." His wife lies dead in the bathtub, fatally stabbed. It would appear to be an open and shut case. The trouble is, Brace refuses to talk to anyone, including his own lawyer, after muttering those incriminating words. With the discovery that the victim was actually a self-destructive alcoholic, the appearance of strange fingerprints at the crime scene, and a revealing courtroom cross-examination, the seemingly simple case takes on all the complexities of a hotly contested murder trial. In the tradition of defense lawyers turned authors like Scott Turow and John Grisham, Robert Rottenberg delivers a legal thriller rich with his forensic skill and insider knowledge, taking readers on a tour of Toronto from the Don Jail to the towers of Bay Street and into the shadowy corridors of the old City Hall courthouse. So I did read the first chapter of this book as well, and the prose was very accessible and the writing was enough to keep me interested, so I will be continuing on with this one to see where it goes. Let me know if you've heard about it or read it. Then I have Locked In by Carrie Wilkinson, again an author and a title that I have never heard of and I'm completely unfamiliar with. When a body is found in a locked house, Detective Sergeant Jessica Daniel is left not only to find the killer but discover how they got in and out. With little in the way of leads and a journalist that seems to know more about the case than she does, Jessica is already feeling the pressure, and that's before a second body shows up in identical circumstances to the first. How can a murderer get to victims in a seemingly impossible situation, and what, if anything, links the bodies? So this is the first book in a series of detective novels that center around this character, Jessica Daniel. This book is from 2011, so I haven't done any more research other than having read the first chapter. It was like 1 or 2 pages. It was enough to get me interested. Certainly not hooked, but definitely interested. So I will be continuing with this one. It's about 370 or so pages. If you guys are interested to look it up, I will have the link to this and like all of the books that I'm talking about below if I can find them. And then lastly, I have a Linwood Barclay, The Accident, another author and another title that I have no previous experience with. It's the new normal at the Garber household in Connecticut. Glenn, a contractor, has seen his business shaken by the housing crisis, and now his wife Sheila is taking a business course at night to increase her chances of landing a good-paying job. But she should have been home by now. Waiting for Sheila's return with their 8-year-old daughter sleeping soundly, Glenn soon finds his worst fears confirmed. Sheila and 2 others have been killed in a car accident. Adding to the tragedy, the police claim Sheila was responsible. Glenn knows it's impossible. He knew his wife and she would never do such a thing. When he investigates, Glenn begins to uncover layers of lawlessness beneath the placid surface of their suburb. Secret after dangerous secret behind the closed doors. Propelled into a vortex of corruption and illegal activity, pursued by mysterious killers and confronted by threats from neighbors he thought he knew, Glenn must take his own desperate measures and go to terrifying new places in himself to avenge his wife and protect his child. Bold and timely, with the shocking twists and startling insights that have become trademarks of this new master of domestic suspense, The Accident is a riveting triumph, a book that moves at a breathless pace to a climax no one will see coming. That is what I'm talking about, okay? I want a book that is going to move at a breathless pace and really leave me shocked at the end. So hopefully this book will do what I believe it has promised, and that will sort of bring us to the end of the video. So this is not strictly a book haul. I didn't really go out and spend any money on these books. They're just books that came in the big lot of the eBay books that I buy and resell and that I kept aside for my own reading, my own interests. So let me know what you guys thought of these books, if any of them sound interesting to you, if you have come across them in the past, if you have read any of them, and all that jazz. Please remember to like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you want to hang out again, and I will see you again in the next video. Ciao for now.